them. But I want you to understand.
I'm standing by.
I'm also going to make you an offer. I'm going to make you an offer for 1/3 of the 26%. So I'm in. Is there anybody you can call?
Yes.
Do you want to make that call?
I'll appreciate it.
I think you
Yes.
should go and do that.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So that you make that call, so that you make an informed decision.
Yes.
With a higher equity share of 26%, he seeks counsel beyond the den.
Chris, we have an offer. The offer is 26% share equity for 10 million, plus another 10 million as convertible, with a discount on first valuation. What do you say? Okay. That's nice deal. Thank you, bro.
The entrepreneur returns with a decision.
So, we've come to a conclusion that, okay, we'll go with 26% share equity, as earlier said, but the discount on the convertible note will be 10%.
So I'll explain to you why that doesn't work. Yeah? If we converted it all today, yeah, we'd probably end up with half your company. Yeah? By waiting till that next round, we're actually really being supportive of you. So I would say to you, that's the deal. And what you get in terms of these people standing by your side is worth way more, than this money or this check that we're writing.
If you're investing in me and my company, you've taken a long walk to believe in us. So I think I appreciate the offer, and I will take it. It's a pleasure to have you on board.
Well done.
Congratulations.
It's a hat trick of success for Ogunwati Moses, and it's evident that giving away an extra 11% equity is not enough to douse his excitement for the journey that lies ahead.
I'm more than excited. Excited.
It's the end of another exciting episode of Lion's Den, and the three things we'll take home are: never to show up in the den unprepared. Traditional ideas are great, but the ability to travel digitally makes great superb. And lastly, the lions will readily offer a sweet deal when the honey is pure. See you next time. Lion's Den was brought to you by EcoBank Nigeria and Chapel Hill Denham in association with Bank of Industry and Development Bank of Nigeria, with the LIRS as strategic partner.
Drive in the rain.
It depends on the velocity of the rain.
Good evening and welcome to Weekend File on the NTA. We are live in Abuja.
The Electoral Act 2022, as recently signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari, comes at a time the nation is in dire need of stable democracy. Already, the timetable for next year's general elections has been adjusted and released by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, as fallout of the new Electoral Act. There are some salient issues under the law, which include funding of INEC well ahead of elections and 6 months window for campaign period. Political parties now have 3 options for selecting candidates for elections, namely direct, indirect, and consensus. Election results obtained under Durex can now be invalidated by INEC, and electronic voting is now in use, even as the elections are also spaced, among other issues under the Act. Meanwhile, the provisions in Section 84, subsection 12 of the Act have been returned to the National Assembly by President Buhari for further amendment. The new Electoral Act has been hailed across the nation with the perception that people's vote will now truly count. Nevertheless, forthcoming governorship elections in Ekiti and Osun State are expected to serve as a litmus test of the implementation of the Electoral Act 2022. And so the role of political parties and the citizens in ensuring transparent electoral process is the focus tonight on Weekend File. We have situation reports from zones, and our guest is Daniel Buala, lawyer and politician. I am Kene Ima Aborike. The news now. You can follow this news broadcast live on our website, nta.ng/live, and on YouTube channel, NTA News Online. You can also visit our Twitter handle at NTA News Now, Facebook page, NTA Network News, and Instagram, NTA Network for updates. Let's now tell you that another batch of Nigerians who fled to Hungary from Ukraine have returned to Abuja. There were 174 students, including 4 children. They arrived at Abuja Airport at about 11:13 p.m. on Friday on board Air Peace aircraft. The returnees were enlightened on the protocols of arrival documentations, including collection of samples for PCR tests and immigration desk processes. After delivery, food package and $100 stipends to them, they picked up their baggages and exited the terminal hall. Now, on behalf of the federal government and Nigerians in general, President Muhammadu Buhari felicitates with former President Olusegun Obasanjo on his 85th birthday, joining family, friends and associates in celebrating the joyous occasion. President Buhari believes the former head of state 1976 to 1979 and former president of Nigeria 1999 to 2007 is the study in patriotism, leadership and courage, leading the country to democratic government in 1979 and taking over the reins of power as elected president in 1999. The president affirms that the former president's influence continues to resonate beyond the country, extending to international community and multilateral institutions. As a former military and civilian leader with a strong network nationally and internationally, President Buhari extols the wisdom, insight, and versatility that Chief Obasanjo brings to bear on things, reflecting his experience, diligence, and versatility. African leaders have been advised to initiate ways and open doors of leadership for young, visionary and pragmatic young Africans to drive socio-economic and political change in Africa. This was the fallout of an international symposium on leadership and African narrative for development and progress of Africa held in Abuja, Ogun State to mark the 85th birthday anniversary of former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Yemi Dalemo reports.
Speaking on the theme, Leadership and African Narrative in Development and Progress in Africa, the Director General World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, and the President of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, through virtual presentation, regretted that COVID-19 pandemic has impacted negatively on the development in Africa, and this is why a strong, focused, and effective leadership to change the current narrative is desirable.
To get back on track, we must address the deficit in leadership on our continent.
The current generation of African leaders needs to open the door to a new generation of vigorous, enlightened, well-schooled, and sometimes technocratic leaders. This is about bringing new skills and perspectives to leadership.
Former President of Benin Republic, Niger Delta, among other speakers, including Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun, described the celebrant as a rallying point for socio-economic and political development in Africa.
Ghana is the pride of Africa and it's a great gift for the states to the world.
And somebody that is actually very much concerned about the unity of our country, but also the unity and the progress of our continent.
The idea that Baba has come up with is that we should begin now. We've been saying it before, the African narrative, but to make it more sonorous, more vigorous.
The celebrant, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, who was overwhelmed by the turnout, says he will forever remain grateful to God for sparing his life to attain the new age.
Our relationship within Africa and with the rest of the world can only be taken care of if we get the issue of nation building right.
Highlights of the celebration include cutting of the 85th birthday cake to the admiration of the guests. In Abeokuta, Yemi Dalemo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, All Progressives Congress national leader Asiwaju Bola Tinubu congratulates former President Olusegun Obasanjo on his 85th birthday, praising him for his patriotism and unfailing commitment to the unity of the country. In a congratulatory statement on the birthday of the former president issued by his media office, Asiwaju Tinubu said at 85, Baba Obasanjo remains strong, agile, and committed to the greatness of Nigeria. Tinubu knows that Obasanjo has made numerous useful contributions to this country that will stand the test of time. President Muhammadu Buhari rejoices with Dr. Yunus Abiodun Akintunde, the first person to bag a doctorate degree in energy and environment, as he turns 60, March 6, 2022. The president salutes the service of the celebrant to his native Oyo State, to Nigeria, and to scholarship through his current book, Dimensions of Energy Poverty and Rural Electrification in Nigeria. He rejoices with the family, friends, and associates of Dr. Akintunde, sharing the joy of the auspicious celebration with them. Now, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says the traditional institutions, as beacons of moral and wisdom, remain critical in sustaining peace in the Niger Delta and surmounting the plethora of security challenges facing the nation. His visit to the paramount rulers of Warri and Ovie kingdoms in Delta State is therefore to strengthen the synergy between the government and traditional institutions in building a vibrant nation. Austin Edomodu reports that the Vice President equally attended the posthumous Thanksgiving service of his protege, late elder statesman Odorogun Patrick Sito Ide in Warri, Delta State.
The Vice President Yemi Osinbajo being received by the State Deputy Governor, the Kingsley Tuaro, with a rousing welcome from other supporters. His first port of call was the Mother of Redeemer's Catholic Church, Warri, for the Thanksgiving service of late renowned legal luminary and nationalist Olorogun Patrick Sito Ide, who believed in the Nigerian project throughout his lifetime. This is followed by the ambience of royalty heralding the Vice President's visit to the palace of His Royal Majesty Ogiame Otuashi III, Yulu of Warri. It was an opportunity for the Vice President to strengthen the bond of relationship between the federal government and the traditional institution towards sustaining peace and tranquility in the oil-producing communities in the Niger Delta through mediation and conflict resolution. at the palace of His Royal Majesty Dr. Emmanuel Sideso Abe Wandi Ovie of Uye Kingdom, the Vice President reaffirmed the commitments of the government in maintaining the pride and sanctity of the traditional institution, even as their constitutional rules are being addressed at the National Assembly. The paramount rulers further prayed for the President Muhammadu Buhari and his vice for more enablement to pilot the affairs of the country to a greater height. I'm Austin Edemodu, NTA News.
In the meantime, the declaration of Bida in Niger State and 48 other cities in the world as members of UNESCO Creative Cities Network, UCCN, is placing the country back on the world map as a tourism destination which can be explored to boost employment. Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Information and Culture, Ifeoma Anyanwutako, emphasized this when receiving a letter issued to Bida by UNESCO. Joseph Olsen has details.
These locally produced craft and folk arts, made by Bida artisans with local raw materials and Bida, the global recognition as member, United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO Creative City Network.
This also tells us the importance of our creativity, our creative industry. In fact, we are looking at it to be our next oil.
Yes.
Yes, you know, if we are talking of diversifying our economy.
UNESCO also requested that we create a secretariat where they will always relate, and come. To see to the development. And with this, it cannot be gainsaid that job opportunities will come.
Among the Niger State delegation is the Etu Nupe, represented by Muhammad Abubakar, who front large investment in the industry to bridge unemployment gap.
What we are looking for now is consolidation. Consolidation to export these crafts and to further make it a refined one that will be of standard.
The 49 cities are selected based on investment in culture and creative arts, such as music, literature, films, and other arts and crafts for development. The 9 joined 246 cities across the globe as members. In Abuja, Joseph Utsen, NTA News.
Stand Tall Africa Initiative Research Institute has unveiled 3 research centers in Nigeria. Haman Jabani reports that the ceremony featured, among other things, the conferment of the Senior Fellow of the Institute on the Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed.
The centers for the research unveiled are green economy and protection against desertification and climate change, quality leadership, good governance and human rights, and national security, intelligence gathering and surveillance by the Stand Tall Africa Initiative Research Institute are geared towards addressing some of the contemporary challenges.
Stand Tall Africa Initiative is trying to see how more centers can be established. Centers are created to bring about more robust researches and to ensure that problems facing our nation and even the continent are solved.
Director General, Nigerian Television Authority, who is honored as one of the senior fellows of the Institute, as a result of his track records of achievement and contribution to national building and diligence to national assignment, was represented by his special assistant, Paul Atti. Jigawa State Governor, Emir of Duse, and former Minister of Defense are of the belief that the centers will help in finding solutions and promise their support for the cause.
We congratulate them and we thank them for bringing the culture of reading and for all the researches that they will do. And we enjoin people to support them and to collaborate with them so that they can help in developing the reading habit in the country.
It's individually ask everyone to do in his power to save our environment. So it's an individual effort, and collectively we can achieve what we want to achieve.
Partner with Stand Tall in this area to be able to advance research, particularly in areas of national security.
Stand Tall Africa Initiative Research Institute was established in 2018 and has 6 other research centers across the country. Haman Jabani, NTA News.
The annual general meeting of Northern Media Broadcast Owners Association has ended in Kano State with an 8-point communique. The association resolves to promote professionalism, program exchange, standardization and content development amongst members. The members also agree to use their various platforms to engage in the campaign against drug abuse. The Drug-Free North campaign launched by the Kano State Governor, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, to be sustained by all members. The communique signed by the acting chairman of the association, Abdullahi Yelwa, also resolved to intensify the campaign to educate the North on the need to support efforts to end insecurity and to promote community ownership of security management. Let's go to economy, where the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, will make credit facility available at single-digit interest rate to industrialists and entrepreneurs with a view to grow the economy and encourage export of commodities from the country. CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, while on a tour of Lekki Deep Sea Project and Lagos Free Trade Zone, said the federal government is committed to sustaining a viable business environment for trade to thrive. Here is Abolade Salami with a report.
The Lagos Free Zone, with a landmass of 850 hectares, houses industries, petrochemical plants, Dangote refinery, and the Lekki Deep Sea Port. Having a deeper understanding of the architectural design of the Lagos Free Zone, where about $2 billion has been invested to make the zone a business hub in Lagos, Africa's largest economy, through this investment, investors said is expected to earn over $6 billion in the next 10 years.
Say that in my capacity as the governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, I will do everything possible to support whatever you need, because we know that in giving you those support, what you do is that you help to grow the Nigerian economy, you help to create jobs for our people, and you help to make life meaningful for our people.
While reassuring investors on the resolve of the federal government to drive economic growth and sustainability, improving trade facilitation through seaports was pointed as key, and efforts towards achieving this in top gear.
We have been clamoring that there is need for us to have more ports where goods can come in easily and go, and then export can also go out easily without any hindrance, in line with the way it's done in different parts of the world.
Skill center, which is basically a training center, so that people who need training should be trained first before they employ. Right? When you give people skills, they do the job better.
On the ease of doing business initiative of the government geared towards attracting more domestic and foreign investments, investors were assured of a sustainable monetary and fiscal policy. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Recall that we told you earlier about the evacuation of some Nigerians, especially students in Ukraine. Now, let's join via Zoom Moses Damilola, a Nigerian student in Ukraine. Hello, Moses. Can you hear me?
Hello.
All right. Okay. Now, where are you exactly, and what is the situation there?
I'm in an underground basement, and I'm in Sumi State. And, well, the situation, as we've been getting out there, is in the city, we are basically stuck. There is no form of transportation, be it by rail, using train, or by road. First of all, they are not available. I mean, there is no one to take us, even if we tried. And the roads are mostly blocked or destroyed by Russian army. And because of that, we are basically in the city, stuck. We have no way, we have no means to go. And we have been here for 10 days. That is the current situation right now. And that is what we are trying to get out there, that not everyone has been able to leave Ukraine. Most people think, okay, it's to get to the Poland border or Romania border due to the situation of things in the country. The thing is, we can't get there. And it's really tiring and frustrating at first when you have to tell people over and over and again. We tried to reach out to the United Nations. We tried reaching out to even government officials that we know. Everyone keeps saying, just try, just find a way, we can't walk. From here to the western border, it's about 13 or 14 hours. That is by bus or by train. And if we can't make a work for it, it's not something that you can do. The weather here is not a good one. The weather here is not conducive. Sumi is at the northeastern part. It's bordered. In fact, 3/4 of Sumi is bordered by Russia. So we are very close to Russia. We keep seeing invasion threats every single day. We keep hearing explosions. That is the situation. We are tired of just being in one place. And that is why we are shouting to everyone possible, every association, every international organization, every government, that they should come and help. They should come to the aid of about 1,000 international students here. There are Nigerians here, there are Ghanaians, there are Zambians, there are Tanzanians, there are Indians. No one has been able to leave. No one has been able to leave, and we keep receiving a lot of official news, different hopes, different things. And honestly, right now, the situation of things is that we are tired. I, for one, am very tired, and I'm really stressed right now.
All right. We can understand and feel your plight at the moment. But then the Nigerian embassy had issued advisory things, and many did not heed to that, and many are still in Ukraine. How true is that?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
What I said is that earlier than now, the Nigerian embassy in Ukraine had actually issued an advisory things, and many did not heed to that. And of course, many are still in Ukraine, like we hear. So, how true is that? Tell us.
Well, I'll permit me to use the word boo on that. That is totally wrong and totally not true. The embassy of Nigeria to Ukraine, together in conjunction with the university, didn't seem to heed the fears and concerns of students as at the time that we were clamoring for people to be able to be released. And according to what you said, you mentioned it was 22nd. This war started on 24th. There is no way, there is no possible way that is ask people to start leaving by 22nd. There is no one that will be able to leave. Of course, you have to buy your ticket and you have to plan, you have to pack. There is no way I would have gotten to my country before 24th. So it was not even a plan at all. It was just something that the Ukrainian government tried to bring in, or the university, I would say my university, tried to bring in at the terminal end of the situation. We've been clamoring. I myself, as an international student president, I've been going to have meetings with the foreign department. I went to them on 2 different occasions. The first time I went was right in the beginning of January. That was around January 6th. And I went again around the middle of January. Like, try to do something for us. Now, this thing happened in February. So they had enough time to make school online, giving the advice that students should go home, but there was nothing of sorts. And the reason why we could not leave was because school was still offline. I'm a 6th-year medical student. My school never gave me any indication of going home to have online class. I still had to go to school. So there's no way I will prioritize missing class, because even if you miss class, you have to pay. You have to pay and do those classes again.
All right, Moses. Even as we thank you for speaking to us from Ukraine, we also like to remind you that, of course, late last night, many Nigerians were evacuated from Ukraine. I wouldn't know where the missing link happened, but then I'm sure that the federal government is doing all it can to evacuate all of you. For now, we are happy to see that you all are alive. This is a promise from the federal government of Nigeria. You will be safe and evacuated back home, no matter what happens. Thanks for speaking to us tonight on Weekend File. Thank you indeed.
Thank you.
All right, that was Moses Damilola speaking to us from Ukraine, a Nigerian student. Of course, you're watching Weekend File on the NTA Network service. Let's go on break. When we return, more stories on the topic of the day.
Family plan. Get bonus talk time, SMS and data for each family member you share with. Dial *141# now. Airtel, the smartphone network.
What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Millions of Nigerians have received COVID-19 vaccine. I have taken my own. What about you? We have taken our own. What about you? I am strong and healthy. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? We are strong and healthy. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Go get, go and get your job. The hospitals, churches, and the mosques. Go and get your job. Health centers, hurry up now. Don't be late. Go and get your job. Bye-bye, Corona. Bye-bye, Corona. This message is brought to you by the National Primary Health Care Development Agency, NPHCDA.
The Honorable Minister of State for the Environment, Chief Sharon Ikeazo, is scheduled to hold a high-level strategic meeting of Inter-Ministerial Committee on Climate Change to discuss the implementation of Nigeria's nationally determined contributions, approved energy transmission plan, and related climate issues. The event is scheduled to hold as follows. Date, 7th March 2022. Time, 10 a.m. Venue, Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja. Engineer Hassan Musa, Permanent Secretary, Announcer.
Oh boy.
You know, I know you're making up the truth. Why can't I go before I lose my cool? I love you even faster, difficult.
At the first sign of pain, you need a solution that you can trust. Try Panadol Caplets. With Panadol's Optizorb formula, the tablet absorbs quickly and starts providing fast and effective pain relief you can trust. Try Panadol Caplets.
Sometimes before I step on stage, my mind gets clouded. But that's when I know it's time to take that deep, tum-tum cooling breath.
I suppose human life has more definition to it, with the moments they share, the memories they keep, the striving that's got no limit, the rhythm they feel, and the occurrence they are never prepared for. Ouch. Life happens, but Samsung Care Plus has got you covered. To enjoy screen repairs for as low as 9,000 naira. Kindly visit www.samsung.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to Weekend File. You can follow this news broadcast live on our website, nta.ng/live, and on YouTube channel, NTA News Online. You can also visit our Twitter handle at NTA News Now, Facebook page, NTA Network News, and Instagram, NTA Network for updates. The 2022 Electoral Act is now in place, activating activities for the 2023 general elections with a lot of expectations. In this report, Mayor Ogidi gives us a brief on the content of the Act and INEC's preparedness.
A bill for an act to repeal the Electoral Act and enact the...
After 12 years of being a reference document in the nation's electoral system, the 2010 Electoral Act is repealed. The 2022 Act takes over. It is 154 clauses document with new rules to sanitize the system. Provisions like death of a candidate, INEC fund, e-voting and accreditation, e-transmission of election results, upward review of campaign funds, completion of party primaries 180 days before election, 150 days of campaigns, among others, are quite redefining. But having the new act is not enough.
If political parties can put their acts together and follow their constitutions and guidelines, the Electoral Act and the Constitution, which is the baba of them all, that we can be sure that the future is promising.
You can deploy technology, but don't forget, the Nigerian politician would explore ways to undermine that technology, and we would end up with computer-generated leaders.
These observations come with deep sense of reflection, but that of the President's observation on Clause 84.12 that bars political appointees from being delegates in party conventions and congresses except they resign is more worrisome. The President seeks removal of that clause, and the request is already before the National Assembly on these grounds.
This provision has introduced qualification and disqualification criteria that is ultra-vires the Constitution by way of importing blanket restriction and disqualification to serving political office holders, of which they are constitutionally accorded protection.
INEC is set for the 2023 elections. February 25 and March 11th are the dates, and political parties must adhere strictly.
Any political party that fails to comply with the timelines provided for in the timetable and schedule of activities, particularly with respect to the conduct of party primaries and the nomination of candidates, will not be expected to nominate candidates to the Commission for Election.
The continuous voter registration exercise and permanent voters card collection, critical components if the issue of low voters turnout must be addressed in 2023. The continuous voters registration exercise started in June 2021, and as of 21st of February 2022, 6 million new registrations have been recorded. Mayor Ogidi.
Meanwhile, political parties have a great role to play in ensuring that the electoral process works smoothly to achieve a free and credible election. Timothy Yusuf reports on how this can be achieved.
A political party is defined as an organized group of people with at least similar political aims and opinions that seeks to influence public policy by getting its candidates elected to public office. Senator Ita Enang has been in politics for more than 30 years now and has been an active member of more than one political party over the years.
Nobody should take the other for granted. Nobody. No party should take their members for granted, and no party should take the electorate for granted, because you are a political party for the purpose of conversing for votes.
Although political parties tend to be deeply and durably entrenched in specific substructures of society, one major factor militating against the progress of most political parties is lack of internal democracy.
Since 1999, what have we seen in our party primaries? We've seen bias, we've seen political stabbing, we've seen political affliction, we've seen the godfathers hijacking the process in their favor.
Many believe that political parties perform key tasks in a democratic society, such as soliciting and articulating public policy priorities. Therefore, the need for internal party democracy as a tool to getting election processes right, devoid of controversies.
It's a necessity. It's a prerequisite. It's something that we must observe, as the political managers, of the process. If we don't do that, we are caught in, crisis, and the crisis is not good for us.
As another season of party primaries in Nigeria draws closer, stakeholders are calling for transparent and peaceful processes. Many, however, posit that it may be a futile call unless the managers of political parties play according to the rules. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Our guest tonight joins us live in the studio. He is Dr. Daniel Abuela, a legal practitioner and politician, member, Presidential Legacy Committee. Welcome to Weekend File.
Thank you.
Nigerians have been talking about the newly signed Electoral Act 2022. As lofty as it appears on paper, a lot of people still have that, skepticism that we are not yet there. But then you have been following the trends all this while. People are saying also that this is the way to move forward, particularly when the political parties and citizens key into the vision.
You're right. So thank you for having me. I think that the only section or the only amendment in the Electoral Act that for now has become a subject of controversy is Section 84 and Sub 12, which excludes the political appointees from either voting or being voted for. All other provisions are quite laudable, and everyone is in tune with that. All political parties are agreeable to the provisions. But with regards to Section 84, Sub 12, that is where the controversy is. And the president had written to the National Assembly to delete it. Now, even though I'm a member of APC, I believe that the president may not have been given the proper legal advice in respect of that, because in the president's statement, he said that section of the Electoral Act 84 and 12 violates or infringes on the constitutional right of political appointees. If you look at that part, maybe what the National Assembly needs to do is to amend it and put it in the proper context. So let me give you the context. Political appointees have the right as enshrined in the Constitution to vote. And you cannot, in an electoral act, restrict their right to vote. It's their franchise. However, they do not have the right to be voted for if they occupy position as political appointees. So that section is correct, restricting them from being voted for. But the section is wrong, restricting them from voting. The spirit and intendment of the lawmakers is that people who occupy position of trust should not take or adopt an advantage in the process of the convention that will prejudice the interests of the other party, because level playing field is one of the procedure for an effective election. In fact, level playing field is the baseline criteria for assessing whether an election, whether at the party level or at the national level, is free and fair. So if a political appointee is running for a position in the convention, but retains his position as a political appointee and takes advantage of that position to rig the process in such a way that it benefits him, there is no free and fair process regarding the emergence of people. So the president, in my view, should understand that as a political appointee, the person has to resign his position as an appointee for him to be voted for. But he does not have to resign to vote. That is the amendment I'm calling on the National Assembly to do. Rather than expunging it or deleting it, they should amend it in such a way where they will say a political appointee that wishes to vie for a post in the convention should resign if he wants to be voted for, but it does not preclude his right from voting, because right to vote is covered by the provision of the Constitution of Nigeria. But right to be voted for as an appointee is to be determined by the enactment that govern electoral process, which is the Electoral Act.
Dr. Bola, that's exactly the controversy right now. How do you think the National Assembly will react, or even Nigerians?
I can predict that most likely the National Assembly may not expunge it by the time we go to convention. And I will tell you why. We are about ending the first week of March, and as a member of APC, I know that our convention comes up on the 26th. So we barely have 3 weeks. The National Assembly are entering into the zone of political processes, so it will limit their sittings in plenary. The procedure for amendment takes a little bit of time. And then you have members of PDP who are not in the governing party, so they do not have ministers and MDAs in most cases. They will likely not support the idea of expunging it. Will you get the vote? The members of APC who were engineers behind this novelty, they may not also succumb or agree to the idea of expunging it. So if you look at the limitation of time, the possibility of not getting the vote, it may seem that it is a little bit difficult to say that this amendment can be done before we go into convention. And once we go into the convention, by the time you make the amendment after the convention, it will not have force or effect on the party. So it is a dicey situation that the president, and this appointee in reference, is not limited to the executive. A lawmaker has people he has appointed. There are political appointment in the context of that means anybody who assumes a role by means of political appointment. So you did not rise in the cadre like a director, and you did not write an exam like a promotional exam, but this is a political appointment. And the nexus, the rationale behind it is that political parties give patronage through this appointment. So political appointees, 75% of their life is politics, even though they are appointed to occupy roles where they bring in governors, and which is the reason why I'm of the view that it is very unlikely that this amendment will eliminate or expunge that before we head into the convention. But if the National Assembly, in their wisdom, decide that, okay, we want to cooperate, and they start to expunge it, then that's fine. I don't have an issue with that.
All right, we'll talk some more, Dr. Bwala. We're talking Electoral Act 2022 on Weekend Fire tonight. Do stay with us as we go on break right now.
My son, calm down now.
Why do you sweat like Amrova?
My uncle no go bite.
Uncle! What's up, Uncle? Meet Andy.
He has come to ask for my hand in marriage.
Good morning and good afternoon, sir. What about good night? Have you seen a movie? What nonsense!
Son, you are in control.
No, sir. It's my parents in the village. I'm doing a video call since they can't be here.
Breakator Plus is here. Existing Glow customers will get 400% bonus on every recharge and 100 MB data bonus on first recharge of the month. New Glow customers will get 1,000 Naira welcome bonus. To activate, buy a new Glow SIM today or dial *777# for existing Glow customers.
Are you aware that your perfect family may be under threat by germs? Germs can cause infectious disease. These infectious diseases are amongst the biggest killers of adults and children. Illness-causing germs are everywhere. In unclean bathing water, on your clothes, dirty surfaces, on cuts and wounds. To protect your family from germs, use the power of Dettol's 1 capful. In your bathing water, for your laundry, for surface cleaning, for first aid, and to protect your family from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Be Dettol sure.
Our pastors, our imams, in every church, in every mosque, please realize that in the course of praying for peaceful and transparent elections, we all have duties beyond prayers. If we want a stable society before, during, and after the elections, what should you be saying to those that worship with you? All Sundays and all Fridays, you are saddled with the responsibility of bringing up good generations. It is therefore your duty to both man and God to ensure peace all the time, no matter about elections alone. People talk to people and people listen. Talk to your followers. Make them listen to ensure peaceful 2023 elections. This message is from the National Orientation Agency.
Thank you for staying with us. The signing into law of the Electoral Act 2022 has been observed to have made salient and praiseworthy provisions that will greatly improve elections in Nigeria. And as the June governorship election in Ekiti state approaches, Kola Adebobuyi examines people's reactions to the new law.
And the Electoral Act 2022, no doubt, we put into use.
In the Ekiti State governorship election slated for June 18 this year, many observed that the contents and provisions of the Act will make the conduct of the election free, fair, and credible if judiciously applied.
With the new law, INEC has been given the power. INEC has been given the power to even review result of election that has been returned by the returning officer if he does not follow the due process, or if the situation of under duress should come in. It's a welcome development, and I know it is sure that this new electoral law will be tested in Ekiti election, so that Ekiti, when you say Ekiti, it means all Ekiti will decide who will become their governor in the next election.
The transmission of election results through electronic means really excited many election stakeholders, noting that it will engender transparency.
I think that has been the yearnings of all Nigerians, and of course the people of Ekiti State. Now that we have an electoral act that has reflected e-voting, electronic summarization of votes, it means that Ekiti people should go and sleep. The best candidate will emerge.
Political analysts, while identifying the signing of the electoral bill as historic, expressed hope that the new act will be implemented to the letter by all the various parties in the conduct of elections in the country. In Ado-Ekiti, Kola Adebobuyi, NTA News.
We're still here with Dr. Daniel Buala, legal practitioner and politician, member, Presidential Legacy Committee. A lot of people are still talking about the new Electoral Act for Nigeria. And of course, I think for the eligible electorate, this should be the new dawn in their thinking.
Right.
Do you have any objection to that?
No, I don't have an objection. No doubt the amended Electoral Act now will do a lot of good in bringing transparency in the 2023 election. For example, the electronic transmission of results and the issue of the card reader. So this amendment has even given the force of law to, for example, the guidelines of INEC. I remember after the 2015 election, card reader were used, but the card reader came as a result of the guidelines, and they were not recognized by the Electoral Act. And we found inconsistency in terms of the judgments of courts, tribunal courts, and the Court of Appeal. In one breath, you will see a court adopting the guideline of INEC and giving it the force of law, and in another breath, if you see another court saying that the guidelines of INEC, since it is not expressly provided for in the Electoral Act, it cannot have the force of law. But by this amendment now, the guidelines of INEC will be as effective as the provision of the Electoral Act, that will also be as effective as the provision of the Constitution, without prejudice to the order in which they come, and where there is conflict, which one prevails. For the Nigerian masses, if you look at our past 3 elections, you see the participation of the people as compared to the population of people we have, or even to say the number of registered voters. You see enthusiasm in registration. On that day, in fact, there are times you even see accredited voters that will end up not voting. So activities around the polling booth may have discouraged them. Maybe violence, they just judge by themselves that this process is not going to be fair. Why should I waste my time and waste the whole day? But with this amendment, in the coming days, you are going to find that all political parties are going to be sensitizing the people. By the time campaign comes and manifesto, people will find a way of instilling confidence to the Nigerian people. So I believe that 2023 election, we're going to see a multiplier effect. More than 100% of the people that have voted in 2019, we may end up seeing them voting in 2023. So the implementation of the provisions of the Electoral Act will give confidence to the Nigerian people. It will reduce violence, because if there is electronic transmission of result, the idea of ballot snatching will no longer be there. But most importantly, in terms of forensic analysis, to avoid multiple voting, it is very important that right at the voting stage that the process.
In other words, Dr. Buala, this is a major legacy being left behind by the present administration under President Muhammadu Buhari.
Yes, for some time we have been, like, I know as a person, I have found a way of passing the message across to the president. I don't know if the message got to him or not, but on the need for the president to sign. When the president was expressing reluctance because of, the complication arising from the various provisions,
but
like
now he has
bringing
signed.
consensus. Now that he has signed, the president can exit the stage and beat his hand on his chest and say, I've been able to leave a legacy. If you remember, part of the legacies of Jonathan, he said he was able to also help in improving on the electoral process. And all the past presidents have all made effort to improve. And people were wondering, is this president going to go without improving? He has done more than what people could imagine. In fact, many people thought the president was not going to sign the Electoral Act because of the provision of Section 84 sub 12. He proved them wrong by signing to show that he really wants this innovation to come to be. He wants the legacy to stand, and then requested that the National Assembly should look into it and expunge that. It's a very big legacy.
Thank you very much, Dr. Daniel Bwala, for coming on Weekend File.
My pleasure,
tonight.
as always.
Of course, we'll be discussing with Dr. Daniel Bwala, legal practitioner and politician, a member of our Presidential Legacy Committee. Let's go for our last break on the program. To stay.
That in the last decade, this country has been at different wars trying to keep the peace and promote the sovereignty and the integrity of the country. The troops are doing their best. The president has given them all the necessary tools. It is left for us as young people and as Nigerians to give them all the support we can. We say kudos to all our gallant military men. Please, whenever you see a police officer in or out of uniform, if you know them, clap for them whenever they need it. Give them seats in buses and trains and airplanes. Have the airline managers reduce air tickets for them or train tickets for them. Show them that we appreciate what they do and show their families that there is something right and honorable and truly remarkable about wearing a uniform and going into the bushes and the forest to fight enemies of this country that are hell-bent in bringing your life to an end. It's a very tough time, but we have to all put our hands together. Please support our troops and support our police officers.
A sports update is next.
In line with the mission to contribute to world peace by uniting armed forces through sport, the 2022 edition of the International Military Sports Council Season Day Run was held with a 5-kilometer run at the Aguirosi Cantonment, Abuja.
This should not be a one-off event. It should be a regular event. Indeed, for you and I.
In Abeokuta, a novelty match between Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library and Ogun State government team ended 4-2 in favor of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo's team. Yemi Dalemo reports that the match was to mark the 85th birthday celebration of the former Nigerian president, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo.
There's nothing God cannot do. You can make your life at 85 like the life of 45.
This is a wonderful opportunity to celebrate a national icon, someone who we are very proud of in Ogun State.
In the Nigerian Professional Football League, home teams continue to pick the maximum 3-point at stake at the expense of the visiting teams. At the time of filing this report, 101 wins that covered 63.52% have been recorded against 18 away wins with 11.32%. Sunday fixtures indicate that MFM will entertain Kwara United as Shooting Stars play away to Rivers United, among other matches. In another news, the Delta State government has promised a world-class sport fiesta as the local organizing committee is set to unveil the mascot and logo for the 21st National Sport Festival, tagged Asaba 2022, on the 7th of April. The secretary to the state government and chairman LOC, Patrick Uka, has started that this year's sport festival will be the best of its kind since the inception of the Games in 1973.
We want a Games for the athletes and for the citizens.
In another development, an Olympian and former general manager NTA Abuja, Hamid Adio, has been inaugurated as the chairman board of Kwara State Television Station alongside other boards in Ilorin.
We will do everything humanly possible to fit into the transformation agenda of this administration.
The state wants the boards to follow stipulated rules for maximum productivity. With sports update, Olumide Kuntola, NTA News.
Let's now see what the weather will look like on Sunday.
Hello, a quick look at the weather forecast. Sunday morning is expected to be sunny and hazy over the north, patches of clouds with sunny spells over the central, and increased cloudiness is anticipated over the southern cities. Most of the weather activities are expected during the afternoon and evening hours to affect the coast, most parts of the south, as well as parts of Niger, Kwara, Kogi, FCT, Nasarawa, Benue, Plateau, with slim prospects over southern Kaduna, Taraba, and Adamawa states. Continued high level of thermal discomfort is expected as maximum temperatures remain on the high over most parts of the north and north central region. I'm Theodora Aitu. Thank you for watching.
That concludes Weekend File on the NTA tonight. Thanks indeed for watching, and do stand with the NTA in the fight against rape and rapists in our society. I am Kene Ima Abodike. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.